We are back at our garage conversion this morning, and today's plan is to start the internal block work, of which we haven't got yet. We can get the blocks in a minute. Then what we're going to do tomorrow, so you'll see it next as well, we're going to concrete this floor. Another job we've got to do before we concrete the floor is this mains armoured cable there. We've just got to dig it out the ground there because the board is being moved to there, because I don't know if I've discussed this plan with you, but there's a change of plan. We no longer have a doorway there and come in a little wall here. What the customer wants to do is increase the wet room, come out a little bit further, and then, which I think is to there, and then run a wall all the way across here and have a door here instead. So this then becomes a big square wet room to allow better access for the wheelchair to come in and out, which makes absolute sense. But as a consequence to that, that board can't stop there. So that's going to have to be moved to outside of the room, which is going there. Hence, us pulling the cable out to there. That's been done by National Grid. So that's the plan for the next day and a little bit. Luke's just unpacking the van. Trying to sort out the van. He had a bit of a garage emptying over the weekend because he only got his door fitted, but he's put all of it in his van. With all the armour cables out now, it was only in a clay pipe in the ground. That's all it was in. So I just knocked it out and then just pulled it out. I've left it open on that end there, and then we just put sand over the top, and then we backfilled with the dirt that was already here. We've started putting our sand blinding on. We aim for about 50 mil. It may be slightly more as we get down this end. We've got another over half a ton bag in there, so we're just going to do this bit of Brickwork. So it's first of all is putting 2 course of 7 newtons in the bottom of here on the inside skin, because the 7 newtons will come round about level with our floor makeup then, and then we'll go to thermalites, because we're only coming up 1200, Luke? 1200 with the thermalites up to sill? No, 1100.
It's going to be 12 course in it, so
whatever that is. Anyway, don't matter. Let's not do maths, it's Monday. Yeah, anyway, whatever it is. It's a 12 course above, and then the window will go all across here. What we are going to have to do, because the insulation we've got to put in either side into here as well, is we are going to have to tooth out the outside brickwork. Let's have a look at that. So we'll just pick, obviously, the header there, and we'll just put a full brick in. Full brick and then half. That's what we'll have to do to tie that in, just to pull it over. Enough to get our reveal for our wall we're going to have to put in to insulate it properly. So I'm sort of thinking, I know this is a paver, but that should be plenty. It may be that we end up running into the window reveal with our walls, because I've only got to come to just where the rake is there, about there, with insulation can start there. That's where the doorway is, because there is a habitable wall. It's already warm side, so I haven't got to do anything with that. I'll just batten it just to get over these pipes, and a bit of electric stuff's going to be there. And I'll insulate above the door and then here, because from there to there is classed as external then, because it's a porch and an open bit of porch on the front. We have already got thermalite block, as you can see there. Now, looking at the U values, 0.01 I think that is, something like that. And then PIR 50 mil is 0.02. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a CLS 3x2 stud in front of this. The block, we'll talk about just the block work now, I'll talk about the front in a minute. And then we'll put 50 mil inside the stud work of the 3x2 CLS, and on top of that we'll put insulated plasterboard. The front, however, will be more, so we'll be looking at filling this with a bit more insulation. So maybe that we go to 90 mil maybe on this wall. What else are we doing? That's it for now, isn't it?
Yep.
The floor drain over there, we've decided to leave it upright rather than pulling the saw pipe all the way through, because we didn't see the need to get that and pull it towards us. There's no point. So we haven't got to pull it this way. We're just going to leave it there, and then when we put the slab on, we'll extend that pipe a little bit to come out the top of the concrete, which is 150 concrete. Yeah. And then we'll just put the 1.5 inch waste across that to the floor drain. So that'll be within the insulation layer. And that is more than adequate. It is only water. If it was a toilet, we couldn't do it, obviously, but it's only a shower. So that's that, because the sink waste will be into the, either this way or into the back of the toilet. We shall see. Block work is complete for now. All the two course of engineers have gone in, and then we've done our cavity fill to that point just to finish off the compo we got. So we added a bag of pea gravel into it just to stiffen it up, and then the excess we put along the front as well, because that's way below the sand level, which is then going to go underneath the block pavers. But if you've caught it when we talked a bit before, here we're having a ramp anyway, so this is all going to come up and be a bit of a wall built here anyway. So what Luke is doing now is just screeding off this bit of sand here. We're a bit thick at the back. We're more like 70mm sand at the back, so we're just pulling it back through again, just towards the front. We were a little bit shy on the front, so that's what we're doing now. And then we'll get the whacker out and give it a good whacking. Then we'll DPM it, and we are ready for concrete tomorrow. This is all moved, and we just banded it to the wall. I think I've already pointed that out, but if I haven't, there it is. That's against the wall, tight. And then we're going to be putting our little bit of a stud on there just to cover it all in. So so there we are. A little bit of extra on the top there just to make sure we are at our 50mm here before we whacker it. And I think we're prepped. Right, now I don't quite know how much of this you caught on the time lapse because I realised once we'd stopped it had gone off. So very briefly, we've made sure, and you should always make sure, there is no tautness in the corners, so at least when your concrete can go all the way to the corner. That's the only problem when you start doing your corners here. Now all we've done here, I'll put it into there and I've just folded it. There's not been cut in these corners at all. And again, need to make sure it's all tight in your corner. So at least when the concrete goes in, it goes in like that. Now we forgot the tape, so what I've done there is I've just cut that, look, and that'll wrap. I've cut that as tight as I can around there, and then that'll wrap around there like that, and that'll all get taped all the way in. We've got to put an extra bit of pipe in there anyway with a socket on, end on. Again, same in that corner, make sure you don't cause any voids behind your plastic when you're putting it in. We have overlapped this a good sort of, well, to a crease, so whatever these creases are, 400mm, that's what we've overlapped it. We have then cut it in the centre, folded that way, that way, and then put this on for a really good overlap as well. So we've got plenty of overlap there, and that'll just get taped in these corners again before we concrete. We've got no tape, so we can't do it. Same there, behind the plywood. Make sure there's no voids, push it in tight, and then put your pins in. This is all prepped for our concrete. So we'll come tomorrow, tape, pipe, done. Concrete completed. This would all have gone off as well, which would be nice. There we are. On we go to concrete. So for the second time today, a bit of a rush on getting the concrete in again. I can understand they've got to get to other jobs, but they've got to give you time to get your levels. I mean, we're at the job this morning, weren't we? That groundworks job this morning. And it was like, you're done? You're done? No, mate, we needed another couple of barrowfuls yet.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Shovels was on the truck and everything.
Yeah, they'd started washing out and everything. Like, hang on, mate, we ain't even finished. Could you give us a chance to check the level first? They obviously don't care when they have just go to some builders just go, it's all right, mate, just throw it in. We don't care what it looks like.
Not us there, mate.
No, it's got to be level, isn't it? It messes you up for the insulation and then the screed, and then it's a knock-on effect. I don't know. Anyway, so in the shade, if you can see, in the sun, sorry, we just had enough time to get our pipe round there. We didn't even get a chance to film it, but I think I showed it earlier in the episode where I wrapped it round and then cut it at the bottom, and all I did, and then just taped it all around the bottom, and then taped all the way around the little bit of pipe, extra pipe we've put in to get us above concrete level, haven't we? So what we'll do then is we can put our pipe in there then for the wastes and cut a bit of a notch at the bottom of the insulation, sit it on top of the wastes, and I'll show you where we do that to get a good mark, where to mark it. Makes it quite easy. You can just about see it, the remnants of it there, look. We taped all that, as we discussed, we taped all the way around, taped the corners, taped all the joints, so we're happy. If you remember in the corner here, that was folded, so we didn't have to tape that. But we're happy with that now. Once that goes off, it then releases the rest of the job really now. we can start looking at cutting this doorway out. What else? We've got to start toothing all this brickwork out as well. So every other half brick, just to pull our bricks back into it. But the problem is we're struggling to find bricks, aren't we, at the minute? Well, no, we haven't struggled to find bricks. We found them, but we've been told that here it is, here's the brick sample to check, but it measures 70mm, and they're saying it's 65mm, but it measures 70.
The dreaded London bricks.
The dreaded London bricks. So there we are.
College bricks was what I learned with them when I was at college.
All right, okay.
Someone's like bananas or...
Horrible.
Yeah, boil.
So we'll see how we get on with that one, and we'll keep you posted if you're interested. If you're not, then, well, please yourself. So we're going to leave you in the sunshine, and, well, I think we're going to go home now. So we're back at our garage conversion today. I have been with Matt this morning, first thing, at our extension build, tacking the ceiling. So I've got here late in the party, so it's already nearly midday. So let's have a look what Luke's been up to while I've been away. Well, there's plenty of dust. He's made plenty of dust, that's for sure. And that's why. That's out. And that is now our passageway, or our doorway, into there, which I think will work really well. We're going to put lintel across there, but there is only 2 blocks there. But we're going to leave those because we don't want to disturb in here, the coving. But that's the only reason we're leaving it in, because if the coving wasn't there, I'd just take those blocks out, because there's nothing above them at all. It's just insulation, which we put on when we did this. We put it over the top. So we'll put our lintel in there, which we bought anyway, there. And then our doorway comes roughly top of that lintel there, that catnip lintel. So we're good to go there. We'll just be discussing our plan for the rest of today and for a couple of days this week as well. Block work up first, PIR insulation against that, brickwork, make up our reveals we've already talked about, and then I'm going to start doing the stud work. I'm going to put the stud work on top of the concrete, use tannalised timber, DPM underneath it, or DPC underneath it, and then run our insulation against the wall and screed against that. That'll be a lot better, keeps us moving. We can get the stud work here ready to insulate the walls, and I can get prepped for people doing first fix, plumbers, electricians. So let's just, I think we'll start this brickwork now, I think. New day, and we've started by fetching timber on the van there ready, and thank you again to Luke from Travis for sorting us out. And we have just took the garage door out, which was ridiculously simple, so we're pleased about that one. And then we've just cut the down there to allow Luke to pop these halves out. And his idea behind this is it just preps a bit more, because if you don't, these chip really easy, so you've got to be quite careful when you're chipping these halves out. So, because as you know, 3 bricks over there, we've got to put another brick and a half on here to sort of come to there. So make the reveals look the same on the external anyway. Internal they won't be the same, but external they will be. That's our plan for today. So Luke's going to grind these joints out, and I'm going to get in there, sort of setting out my double base, and then for the stud work, and then set out my wall across there for my stud work for the bedroom and wet room. New day, and that's how we left it. Horrible dusty day yesterday, but at least we can start putting stuff back now. We fixed a bit of a timber frame on the inside just to make sure it was secure. So let's get that off, and I'll show you and talk you through the time lapse. Bit lighter, then we took the plywood down. Cables everywhere, nightmare, but there we go, that'll all get sorted when we do the first fix. So I fixed a stud, double stud on the floor first. I've used tannelised timber. For no other reason than why not. Because we couldn't prop this little bit of roof that we talked about last episode, maybe one before, I don't know how far in we are. I haven't even started editing this garage conversion yet, so we'll have to see. There's a lot of videos to go through. I've left this bit of timber in, which is built into the wall, and then carries the little bit of lean-to roof on the front. And so rather than try and cut it out and put a stud in the wall around the gas box, I thought it'd be better to do that and support that timber, cut that timber flush and leave it in situ instead, because it has got quite a lot of nails in it and things as well, so I'd end up splitting it all and I didn't want to start damaging it, so I've left that in. I've then put my double plate on the floor as well, and we double plated, remember, because we're going to put the insulation on here now against the stud, and then we're going to screed. So our DPM, when it goes on, just use this bag as an example, we'll put the screed on the floor like that, and we'll run the DPM up the wall like that, and then we'll screed against the DPM then, and then that'll be encapsulated with the vapour barrier, and then the insulated plasterboard over the top. That's the plan, and the idea behind doing this now is it just means we can get a lot more done, get the room set out, get it first fixed before we even do the floor. So that's the reason for that. We're still waiting for the board to be moved from there to here. That's going to be done next week by National Grid, and then the Sparky will come and extend the tails, I think he's going to do for now, because he can't get into the first fix into the board change yet. So we'll extend the tails from the new board position, which is here, the new meter position, back to the board over there. So that's his plan. You've already seen Luke has tooed all the brickwork out, and he's now putting his mix on to start the brickwork, which will be a lot less dusty today than it was yesterday, wasn't it? Thank God. What else? So I'm going to put the stud work in here now and set the doorway position. I've decided I'm going to cut that back out where the doorway, so I can run my insulation DPM all the way through the doorway opening as well. I think that might be more beneficial. So that is my plan for today. Stud that, work out what I'm going to do with all the noggins and things. A little bit of stud work there as well, because again, that's cold. This is warm, if you like, warm wall, because it's habitable already. That isn't. That's 9-inch, so I'm going to stud that out as well. The same as this, ready for insulation. This is where we left you. It's all looking rather nice, and we just had a comment about the brickwork. And if you look at that, if I stand here, it's not that obvious, is it really? It looks a bit lighter there, look. But when you look at it, I'm really happy with that, how that's turned out. Really, really happy with that.
I mean, I've done a good job.
I'm not going to go that far, Luke, but don't big yourself up too much. But yes, you have, mate, yes. You've done a lovely job. Looks great. We've just had the building inspector out and confirmed everything we need to know regarding the insulation. And when I say confirmed, what they won't do is they won't tell us exactly what we need. Apparently, it's something to do with the being linked in with the government now, and what they're saying is that building inspectors can no longer tell us what we've got to do. So, in other words, that stud work there, if building reg says that we've got to put 50mm acoustic into that, they can't tell us that. We as builders, she tells me, has got to know all of that. So we've got to know all the regs now, apparently. And then if it changes from building regs, they can say yes or no. If it changes, for example, that part there, as you can see there, that is only a 4.5-inch wall. So in terms of insulation, it's a difficult one because we've got part block, part thermalite. Then we move on to a 4.5-inch, get my finger the right way. And then that one at the end there is 9.5-inch, or 9-inch, sorry. So it's all different regs for different insulation. So to get it to match with everything is a difficult one. We'll get over it. And to be fair to her, she was quite helpful. She didn't tell us that she couldn't tell us that she told us that she didn't tell us anything. If that makes sense. So we've got an idea what we've got to do now, and we'll talk you through it, what we've got to do. But they're saying about not mixing insulation as well. So if you've got rock wool, they tend not to mix rock wool and PIR, because if I put rock wool in that little 4.5-inch space to get it in easier behind the gas meter, then I've got to prove that gets up to building regs. There we are. More progress. National Grid have come and moved the meter, so that's all in there. That looks nice and tidy. And the electrician's been and moved the board from over there to there, and that looks nice and tidy. He's done his first fix, as you can see. He's got rid of all the horrible wires hanging everywhere that were getting on all our nerves. Look, that's all gone. He's done a lovely job of that, and I'm really, really pleased. He's a different electrician because Craig is very, very busy, and because we had a bit of delay, we've then knocked him back a week, so therefore we couldn't get him here. Got all our spotlights in, got the covers inside, he's moved everything, and we're really pleased that we can now move forward. We can start insulating, we can start looking at boarding. The only thing we've got to do in here, we've got to put a link in for a wide smoke alarm to link into the house. So I'm just going to check that with him, but we're really chuffed about that. Luke is going to carry on and do the, what are you going to do here? You're going to change those, aren't you? Because you're not happy. See that? See the way that's moved over? Look, we didn't see that. It's gone over a little bit, so he's going to take those out and redo it because he's not happy. Fair play to him. So we're going to do that, get all our materials together and crack on. Short bit of time lapse just to show you doing a bit of insulation and me cutting it on the saw. I'll talk about my new stand in a minute. Really pleased with that. I've been waiting one for ages and now I bought one. Right, let's go and show you inside in real time. Busy fellas or?
Natural.
So after a conversation with the inspector we talked about earlier, we've had to do 100mm to the point where we meet the thermalite block, which is what we've done. And then we've gone 50mm from that point on, which is what Matt's doing now. Nice and carefully cutting over the gas pipe, and as you can see we're marking it on there. So we don't put a screw through it because we don't want to do that, do we? No. No, we don't, no. So that's what we're doing now. Luke's going to go over now and tape everything, tape all over the timber, and in effect that then gives us our vapour barrier because we're completely sealed then, there's no timber exposed. Yes, you use a lot more tape, but it just beats the what I'm trying to say, it defeats the object of then putting vapour barrier on because you're doing it twice and you're wasting money. So it makes more sense to me. What else have we done? We have overlapped this because I'd only got a 72, we've had to put 100 in here. So we've actually used a 90mm in there because the inspector said where it's a 9-inch, you don't need as much as over there, which is 100mm. So what we've done is we put that in there, which is left over from the cavity, and I believe that's denser anyway. So put 90mm in, overlap that to give us our depth, and that will then have a 37.5mm insulated plasterboard on top of it. And it is the insulating factor on the back of the plasterboard and not the polystyrene that we've had to use. We are going to look now at insulating boarding this. The inspector said it should be fine because it's 400mm in there, but I'm just rather do it if I'm honest. We'll probably just put some bits up there as well before we do it. I've just put a piece of timber in there because there was no joist. It's further behind our new wall, so I had to put that in to catch the board. And then I'm going to start putting the timbers on the wall here, like I've done on that one already over there. So I'll get myself some folding wedges cut, and we'll crack on and do that. It is a bit tight in here to get footage, but we're going to try our best to get footage, but it is difficult. As you can see, we're on right on top of each other here, because you'll be friends in it. You saw in the time lapse, I've got my saw on a stand, and I've been looking at this for a while, because it's 98 quid, I think I got it for in the end, £98 in the UK for this. But what you can see, it slots in so easy. It clips over the frame on the bottom of the saw on the front, and on the back it's got the almost like the Haspen staple type affair, not Haspen staple, a hold down clip, whatever you call it, and it locks the saw in, and there's even an adjustable leg on the one of the legs to make sure it's nice and flat and sturdy on uneven ground. This is it when it's not got the saw on, and it is foldable, and there's that adjustable foot look. You can move that up and down to suit the uneven ground, which I've just done on this driveway. The saw just sits in there like that, into this, and then that just locks onto the cat that's already built into the saw, and that's it. I did look at getting a universal one, a little bit cheaper, about £30–40 cheaper, but it doesn't clip in like that, and that's perfect, and it is really sturdy. It even, I'm hoping that when I do my kitchen in a couple of weeks' time, I can set the height at it and run it straight through onto my MFT that I made for myself. So stay tuned for that one, and I'll show you if that works. I may even modify my trestles that I put under my MFT to get the same height as the saw, so I can then use the MFT as an outfeed table for this saw, which would be fantastic. That'll make me a bit more efficient. Right then, let's crack on with a little bit more insulation and start putting some timbers on the wall. And stop them pair laughing. They don't look, they do no work, they're just laughing. Well, yes, we're clearly in a different location now, but we realised once we'd left the garage conversion that we hadn't done end of video, and we're not back for about a week because we've got going to get more stuff done there. I think we've got to get the floor insulated, haven't we, and then get the inspector back out. But we've also got a couple of things to sort out, like getting the window fitted before we then go back and start sealing it in and start taking the wall out between the current toilet, haven't we, and the extension. So we want to make sure the window's in first, so we're going to wait until that's fitted, and that's not due until the end of this week?
Yes.
End of this week, potentially. So there's still plenty to come. There's still plenty to go at the garage conversion, so we'll hopefully have that back on in a week or so once we get some more footage together. In the meantime, you can see in the background we've got plenty going on as a channel and as a company, if you like.
Yep.
We're currently doing a carport extension, so we've got you can see the footings there, look, we've got to put a big pitch roof on there, so I'm looking forward to that. And next week we will be airing the little stopgap job that we had, haven't we? Doing a patio for friends of Luke. So, and that's a nice sandstone patio. And there's a giveaway on that. I'm not going to say much more about that, but if you watch the video and you get the question right, there's a chance for you to win a laser, which Hoopar, who've collaborated with us on that video, have sent me two lasers, and I'm going to send a lucky viewer one of those if they get the question right. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one.